Good afternoon. My name is Vivian Brown Penda. I'm the mother of Donald Leroy Brown. I'm testifying today because I am in support of the compassionate release bill before the House and the Senate. My reasons for that is as a mother of a person that was incarcerated with really serious health issues. Over the years, Donald's health just continued to deteriorate, and the health issues weren't adequately responded to. I know that some of you are mothers, fathers, have nieces, nephews, and if your child or loved one was incarcerated, I know you would want the best medical care for them. Whatever they did, they're still human beings who need to be looked after. And I think once you're incarcerated, then it's the responsibility of the government or whoever runs the prison system to make sure that health care is provided for those inmates. And my experience has been it's not being provided. And I'm a witness to that because of Donald's health issues that he experienced over the years. And I was definitely a mother who cared and petitioned and did everything I could for the better health care, not just for my son, but for all inmates. Donald had several health issues. One of the main ones, serious ones, was diabetes, which caused him a lot of pain and misery. And because of the lack of attention that they get, and I know this because I was in constant contact with the medical staff there at the infirmary because of Donnie's health. Donald just would call me and tell me something was going on and it wasn't being looked at. And I would call there and see if I could get, some help for his health. In December of 2019, I received a call from WCI's infirmary saying that they had been trying to get in touch with me, but they didn't have a number for me, which I knew was not so because they had two numbers for me. Anyway, they wanted to let me know that Donald had fallen. He was in the infirmary for a minor health issue, but he had fallen out of the bed, fractured his hip, and had a brain bleed. And they needed my consent because for some reason Donald wasn't coherent enough to let them know that to give his consent to have surgery on that hip. And he was transferred to a local hospital there where he had the surgery for the hip. When I talked to the nurse, they said that they had done x-rays of his brain and the brain bleed had stopped, so they said. Things just kept getting worse. I got another call. Donald was transferred back to WCI's infirmary, and then I got another call saying that his large toe on his right leg was so badly infected that they needed to send him back to the hospital under emergency conditions. Donald's toe had been infected for a long while, and he had talked to me about it, and I had talked to them about it. So this wasn't anything new, but it had just gotten so bad that they felt that they needed a surgeon to look at it and see what needed to be done. Again, the surgeon, I got a call from the local hospital where the surgeon told me that the toe was so badly infected that they would need to amputate it, and that they had my permission to do so. At this time, I said to the doctor, why can't you get this permission from Donald? Why are you asking me? And he said, Miss Penda, Donald has had a stroke and he's incoherent. He can't give his permission. And I said, when did he have a stroke? And he said he must have had it at the at WCI because he didn't have it here. Because they said when he came in, he was incoherent. So I'm saying now, okay, so now he's got a toe infection, fractured hip, and a stroke. And I called WCI's infirmary, and I spoke to the executive nurse there, which I have spoke to many times over the years. And I said, you didn't tell me that Donnie had suffered a stroke. And she said, he didn't. And I said, well, the hospital said he didn't. He had a stroke, but he did not have it there. So, moving right along, Donald had a stroke, brain bleed, fractured hip, infected toe, and a stroke. The surgeon at the hospital called me the next day or two, maybe a day or two later, and saying that the toe was so badly infected that they didn't even think amputating the toe would help. They thought that they would need to amputate the lower part of Donnie's leg to keep the infection from going through his body and maybe taking his life. A decision that I needed to make. So I gave my permission to have his right leg amputated. And then that happened. And I couldn't get to see him at the hospital because they have a rule that you can't see the inmates at the hospital. So after the surgery, I wanted to see my child as you would want to see your child going through all of this in such a short time from December to January. I know you would want, to be with your child, let them know that you're there for them. But you couldn't visit them at the hospital, and of course you can't visit them at the infirmary in the prison. So my child is there, having a stroke, not knowing who he was or where he was, and I can't be with him. But I was able to reverse that. I was able to make a few calls, and I got a call from the warden that I could come visit Donnie for a short time, which I did. My daughter drove me there, and we were able to go in to see Donald. When we got to the infirmary, that was behind a window, and when I saw this person sitting there, I knew immediately that that was my son. I hadn't seen him in a long while, but I knew that was Donald. My daughter did not recognize her brother. She said, so who is that? And I said, that's your brother, Donald. She said, that's not Donald. That's an old man. That's not Donald. And I said, that is Donald. Well, let me just tell you that we had to look at my child, and this is something that they knew I was coming. They had him sitting in there waiting for me with his hair standing up over his head, had not been cut, looked like in months. Hair growing out of his ears and out of his nose. No shave, his face full of hair. I mean, it was like, if I had not known as a mother that that was my son, I would not have known that was him. And his sister cried. She just said, that's not Donald. But that was him. And his leg was there, amputated. But I did get to hold my child and tell him that I was sorry and I was going to do all I could to get him home. Because this was so inhumane. How do you do this? I mean, you're responsible for these people. They're under your care, and you don't even shave them or cut their hair or... Oh, it was horrible. I wish I could have taken a picture of it. Donald looked like an old man, an old homeless man. Even the clothes he had on were not presentable. And when the nurse finally came in, I asked her, I said, why did you bring my child out here looking like that? I said, couldn't you have cut his hair or shaved him or something? And she said, they have to request that. Because they don't do it at the hospital. So they sent him back looking like that, and that's what they left him looking like that. So in front of me, she did say, no, do you, after your visit, do you want a haircut and a shave? I said, this is not human. I mean, this is a person. Why did you have to ask him that? I mean, is this what you all do? I was livid. I mean, it was like, come on. I mean, please, y'all have to do something. Something has to be done about people who are so sick that they can't take care of themselves, and yet you keep them imprisoned away from their family members or people who could take care of them in a better situation. I just know that this compassionate bill needs to be passed. It does. Whatever you do, listen to me and other family members who are testifying, and just find it in your heart to do something. If you could just go there maybe and see how some of these people are being treated. I mean, you're in the infirmary and you fall out of the bed in the infirmary, so it shows you that they're not taking care of these people. And I do believe that had Donald had better medical care, his diabetes could have gotten better, and maybe Donald had asked me not to let him die in prison, and I worked toward that. And I was able to go before the Maryland Parole Commission, and I pleaded my case to them. And that was on June 15 of 2020. They had denied the doctor's request to have Donald released to medical parole. After I talked with the commission, 2 days later, they reversed their decision and they released him to a nursing home in Baltimore. And of course, this was during COVID, so I wasn't able to visit him there. I was able to go there and take him some clothes. And 4 days later, Donald died. And I just know that many more of our loved ones are gonna die like that, like dogs, because they're not getting, nobody cares. The people who can change this need to care about people, not about what they've done. They're no longer a threat to society. Donnie couldn't hurt anybody anymore. He was in a wheelchair. He didn't have a leg. He couldn't think. He didn't even know where he was, so he couldn't do anybody any harm. And I know there are others like that. So I ask you to please pass the compassionate release bill. Thank you.